There's some really big changes coming to Gypsum Cast currently on the Season 2 PTR. We're going to go over all of those in this video. This may change the way you are thinking about saving up your Gypsum orbs or your Gypsum Cast and what you're doing to prepare for Season 2. This information was not in the patch notes, but it is a very massive change coming into the game. If we go over to the Gypsum Kiln, the first thing we will notice whenever we scroll down is we now have legendary Gypsum Cast options. You can see here that in order to craft one of these casts, you're going to need 5 Gypsum orbs and 1,000 umbral shards, so they are going to be relatively expensive in order to craft. However, whenever you craft one of these, you are guaranteed to get a legendary item. I have crafted several of these and used all of my Gypsum orbs on the PTR, so I can't craft one for you right here on this video, but what I can show you is what I received. So whenever I use these Gypsum Casts, I use one for a hatchet. I got a strength dex hatchet with plague, crits, empowering rending throw, and vorpal. I also rolled a greatsword using these legendary Gypsum Casts. I got a vicious chains fire and slowing rupture greatsword. We also did a bow. We had enfeebling poison shot, striking abyss, and vicious on the bow. And then we did some gloves and we got the dexterity focus, refreshing evasion, resilient corrupted ward gloves. This one I was a little disappointed in because they are supposed to be changing the resilient ward combination on gear. That obviously isn't in the game yet, and hopefully that will be very soon. But this is on the PTR, and I hope that they change that because that is very frustrating. But nonetheless, you can get guaranteed legendary items out of the Gypsum Cast right now. However, it is going to cost you 5 Gypsum orbs and 1,000 umbral shards. So you may want to save onto your Gypsum orbs if you're trying to get some legendary gear, or if you're trying to get a specific legendary piece without having to spend a ton of money crafting it. You may want to come over here to this Gamba machine and pull the slot lever and see what you get out of these Gypsum Casts versus pulling the slot lever whenever you're crafting your gear. There's also another really major change coming into the game. Infused casts are still the same. However, whenever we go down here to your regular Gypsum Cast, you will notice that now you can craft multiple a day. You can craft up to 7 per day. I can only craft 2 right now because I have already used all my Gypsum orbs. But if you craft 7 items, you'll have to wait for 6 days, 23 hours, 59 minutes. That's because there is a week-long cooldown now whenever you craft these items. You can see here that I crafted 7 chest pieces earlier, so now I have a cooldown there. So I cannot craft those anymore. And what I hope happens with this is I really hope they take this model and they implement it for all of the other cooldown mats in the game, because now that would mean you would only have to log in once every 7 days to craft your cooldown mats, or just craft them once every 7 days and not have to worry about doing that chore for the rest of the week. I think that is an amazing change, and I hope they really do apply this to all the other cooldown mats. It would also help if you're like out of town, for example, and you didn't have a chance to get on and do your daily cooldown mats. You can now do them here in one day versus having to log in every single day and craft them. I think this is an excellent change for Gypsum Cast, and I really do hope they implement this for other cooldown mats moving forward. However, this may make you rethink what you want to do with your orbs moving forward as well. It is very important to point out whenever you craft these casts right here, the legendary Gypsum Cast, you do not get any umbral shards like you do for crafting the normals. So if you are opening up Gypsum Cast in order to get umbral shards, that's what I often do with them versus trying to get gear, then you're not going to want to craft the legendary ones. You only get the gear out of the legendary cast. You do not get umbrals at this time. Again, this is on the PTR, so some of this stuff could change, but it wouldn't make sense to get umbrals out of these if it's going to cost you umbrals to craft it. However, whenever you craft these, you still do get your shards out of them. I've crafted a whole lot of these and have not received one legendary though, and that makes me think that whenever you craft these, you're not going to be able to receive a legendary out of these normal Gypsum Casts anymore, because we now have the legendary guaranteed Gypsum Cast that you can craft, which is a little bit of a bummer. I have rolled a whole lot of epics, a whole lot of purples, but I have yet to roll a legendary out of these. So I really think they've removed that capability from the game and have just moved up the legendaries from being a chance in Gypsum Cast to being guaranteed from the higher expense cast that you can craft. But as you can see here, you do still get your umbral shards out of the regular cast, so that's great news. But this is a major change coming into Gypsum Cast, and just wanted to make sure that I brought you guys this information, because I know a lot of people, especially people that I have had in my chat and stream, they've asked me what they need to do with their orbs or what the best course of action is moving forward. Well, now that strategy might change a little bit because you may want to determine that you want to get some legendary items, or you may want to save them up and just use the cast. Another very important thing to point out, though, as we look at the patch notes over here, it does say that they are adjusting the attribute perks applied to Gypsum cast gear to optimize them towards the item's preferred stat. So hopefully we'll get better gear out of those Gypsum casts, and I hope that applies to the legendary cast as well. So I would not open up any Gypsum cast right now if I were you guys, unless you need the umbrals or you're trying to get some gear. Just depends on where you're at with your progression with New World. But if you're a player who doesn't really need the umbrals or need the gear, I would hold on to those Gypsum casts and wait until after the Season 2 update in order to craft them. I personally am holding on to all of my orbs. I'm not even turning them into cast, because I don't know if I'm going to use some of this legendary gear that we can craft now or not. But I just wanted to make sure you guys were aware of this change. It's a pretty massive one in my opinion. I think it's a good one too. But that's it. That'll do it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. If you enjoy New World or enjoy New World content, please make sure to like and subscribe. I'd greatly appreciate that as well. And of course, we stream every Monday through Friday over at twitch.tv/BDLG. Would love to have you come hang out over there. We have a great time. But that's going to do it for this one, boys and girls. We'll see you in the next one.